What is up, Buck? I'm Doug with D&E in the garage, and today I'm going to show you how to do a compression test on any engine. Now, I'm aware that if you found this video, you probably just want to know how to do the compression test, so I'm going to go through the steps first, and we'll talk about the who, what, where, why, and when at the end of the video. Step one is going to be to warm up your vehicle. The next thing you want to do is locate your fuse box or your power distribution block and remove either the fuse or the relay for your fuel pump. If you cannot find the fuse or the relay for your fuel pump, it's my opinion that you shouldn't be checking your own compression. Take it to a shop. It's not for you, bud. I am going to remove the relay, I think. There we go. Don't lose it. Next thing you need to do is locate your spark plugs and your coil or coils. Most likely on newer vehicles, each spark plug is going to have its own coil pack right on top of the spark plug. On older vehicles, you may have a centralized coil with wires go in it. And on really old vehicles, you're going to have a distributor with wires that go to your spark plugs. Compression test is the same for all of them. Find your spark plugs, remove the wires, remove all of the spark plugs. In my case, I have 8, you might have 6, you might have 4, maybe you have 12, that'd be cool. All right, when you're taking your plugs and coils or wires or whatever out, it's best to keep them in order so that everything goes back in the same cylinder. Unless you're going to be swapping out ignition parts while you do this, which isn't a bad idea because the plugs are out. I usually do a compression test whenever I do plugs, but today we're just running the compression test, so I want the plugs and the coils to go back in the same hole they were in before. Speaking of the compression test, it's time to do that. Obviously, you're gonna need a compression tester. You can rent one from the usual scumbags, Advanced AutoZone, O'Reilly's. I recommend you just buy one. I'll leave a link to this OTC one. It's between $40 and $60. I don't remember exactly, but it'll be linked below. First thing you're going to need to do is find the adapters that come with your kit. In my case, it's going to be these hoses here, and these guys, we're going to have to figure out which one fits in our spark plug hole. Helps to get close if you grab one of your existing spark plugs, match up the diameter and the thread pitch. Then we're going to screw our test adapter into our first spark plug hole. Attach our gauge. Now to run the test, all you do is crank the motor over. Since the fuel pump relay or fuse is out, no fuel is going to enter the engine, causing it to want to start, and there are no spark plugs in it anyway, so it can't start. Additionally, you're going to be able to test just that cylinder because all the other spark plugs are out. They're not going to be creating their own compression. So put your gauge someplace safe, make sure it's not going to end up in your fan belt or something. Jump in the driver's seat. And for this first test, we want to crank the engine 4 times. 4. Then we come and look at the gauge. About 149. Not terrible for 212,000 miles. Then we're going to clear the gauge and go crank it about 10 times. And that number didn't jump too much, which is kind of a bummer. Usually it's supposed to, but now we're up to about, I don't know, 165. And then once you've done all of your cylinders, you should have a little diagram like this with all of your values. Now you don't have to write yours on a quick check cup. I assume a Wawa cup or a Sheetz cup, maybe a Buc-ee's cup. Tim Hortons, if you're up north, will probably work. But the point is you want to record your values and then assess them. These are a little bit messier than I'd like them to be, but this Jeep is dying. I knew that going into it. So you can see here, the top number is our first. The only real outlier is gonna be cylinder 3 right here. 110 is pretty low. The rest of them were all between 130 and 150 on the initial, and 150 and 165 on the second. The rule of thumb is that you want all of your readings for each cylinder to be within 20% of the readings from the other cylinder. So you want all of your top numbers to be within 20% of each other, and you want all of your bottom numbers to be within 20% of each other. What happens if they're not? Well, the main reason you run a compression test is either to find an issue that you already know is there, or to determine the health of the engine. In lieu of an odometer or an hour meter, a compression test is the best way to get an idea of the health and age of an engine. In fact, it's probably even better than an odometer or an hour meter. In fact, that's my go-to when I'm checking out a boat or a piece of equipment. The hour meter can tell me whatever it wants to. Those can be faked, they can be wrong, or the hours may not tell you about the level of care or abuse that it got during those hours. But it is very hard to hide anything from a compression test. But a bad compression test number does not necessarily mean your engine is cooked. If it's an engine that has adjustable valves, a valve adjustment might help. In a vehicle like this 4.7 liter V8, my hydraulic lash adjusters may be going bad. Maybe I need to replace them on cylinder, what was it, 3, 5, the one that was crazy? These numbers can also give you a great idea of where your engine is based on where these numbers fall. If you have 2 cylinders that are both down on compression and they are right next to each other, well, they probably share an issue. Maybe it's a crack in the block, a crack in the head, or a head gasket that is blown specifically between those 2 cylinders. And there are some things that could throw off your compression test numbers. If the engine has rotating resistance in it, maybe the bearings are rusty or crusty, maybe the belt or accessory system is hanging up, that can cause the engine to not spin over as fast as it should and give you a false low reading. Additionally, a bad starter or a bad battery will obviously do this as well, so make sure you have a good charged battery before you endeavor down the compression test road. And then finally, this is an old head trick. If you have an engine that's been sitting a long time and it may be completely dry, meaning all of the oil has completely seeped down into the bottom of the engine, a lot of old heads will spray a little bit of WD-40 into a cylinder of an engine that's been sitting to kind of artificially bring the compression numbers up. The oil will help seal around the piston and give you an idea of where that engine's compression may be when it's properly warmed up and broken back in. You want to be careful anytime you're squirting liquid down into your cylinders. If you're not comfortable with the amount of liquid you should be putting in your cylinders, maybe put no liquid in your cylinders, because if you don't know, you can't compress liquid, and when a piston comes up and meets something it can't compress, well, you're gonna have to take the slack out of something else. It's probably gonna be your connecting rod. Which brings me to my most important and final point. A compression test is a very simple test to run. It's a very rudimentary test. If you're going to be working on engines, you should probably not just know how to perform one, but understand how to read the readings that you're getting and properly diagnose the motor from there. A compression test doesn't naturally tell you what's wrong, but it does give you a bunch of data that you can use to try to determine what is actually wrong. But I say all that to say, if you're not completely comfortable with what you're doing, don't try to run this test. If you're a complete amateur and you've never removed anything from your car before, this one may be a little bit beyond you. But if you think you have what it takes, watch my video a time or two. I'm gonna keep this one nice and quick, folks. I hope you are able to run a compression test on your engine after watching this. If you want any help picking apart your results, by all means, leave a comment down there in the squawk boxes. I would be more than happy to help you. And if I can't help you, someone in the amazing D&E community will absolutely have an answer for you. So friends, if you like the video, that's common sense. Subscribe to the channel. Maybe check out my other channels. I have a small engine channel, Doug vs. Carburetor, and I have a history channel called The Dougmore. They will be linked at the end of the video as well as down below if you want to check those out. Thank you so much for watching. Cannot wait to see y'all on the next one. Friends, I just spent 10 minutes trying to figure out what I put together wrong on the ignition system because it wouldn't start. I forgot the fuel relay. God, Christmas. Life is harder and harder if you're stupid. Amateur hour. Don't forget your relay when you put everything back together. Christmas.